Hi, it's Phil Stone, and this is the Phil Stone Training Series. This video is on qualifying leads. Now, in this video, we're going to take the perspective that you are recruiting someone into your opportunity, but really, the principles here will apply to any selling circumstance. So what gives me the right to teach lead qualification? Well, I'll tell you, I've been selling things since I was 6 years old. And since then, I've sold everything you can imagine. Business opportunities, dealerships from hundreds to thousands to literally over $100,000, and franchises at $250,000. I've sold home improvements, all kinds of things, from complete remodeling all the way down to small things like water filtration systems, alarm systems, replacement windows, everything you can imagine. I've also sold multiple millions of dollars in residential real estate, homes. In addition, I've personally recruited literally hundreds upon hundreds of people into the network marketing opportunities that I've been involved with in the 30 years I've been in the industry. I've owned many successful businesses, brick and mortar and online as well, and worked for large and small corporations. I've served as the vice chairman of the Internet Advisory Board for a major network marketing company. I know a bunch about the Internet. And my wife and I are proud to say that we have, for over 10 years, been top earners in that network marketing opportunity. I really know how to sell, no question about that. And here's the most important thing for you. I have personally trained thousands of successful salespeople in my career. So let's talk about qualifying a lead. What's that all about? Well, really, it's finding reasons why they might buy, why they might join, and reasons why they might not, and utilizing those reasons to direct the path so that you can take people in the right directions. Now, why do you want to qualify that lead? Well, obviously, to discover information that's going to aid in the closing and to avoid wasting time with someone who will not or someone who cannot buy. But how do you find out if they will not or cannot? How do you find reasons why they might and reasons why they might not? Well, one way, you can go out and buy a crystal ball. Another way, maybe hire a mind reader. Well, it's really not as difficult as all that. If you could read a prospect's mind, you would always know the perfect things to say. That's an important point. You'd give them perfect answers. You'd lead them in the perfect direction. You could sell virtually everybody. Everyone who is capable of buying or capable of joining your opportunity, every one of them would come in because you would know the perfect thing to say, because you would go exactly with what they're thinking. Well, the key is questions. That's how you do it. Since you can't get the crystal ball and the mind reader, you figure out what's going on in their head by asking pertinent questions. I mean, let's say you're recruiting, you're hoping your prospect will join your opportunity. You really want answers to lots of questions. How old are you? What's your chosen profession? Are you truly interested in an opportunity? Do you have any prior experience in the industry? Do you own your own home or do you rent? Do you have a secure job now? Are you married? Can you afford the cost to get started? Do you know other people who could be interested? How much time can you devote to this opportunity? What are you truly passionate about? I mean, can you see the value in the answers to these questions? If you knew exactly what they were thinking to each one of these, man, you'd really know exactly what to say, wouldn't you? Well, that's the point. But you got to be tactful, too. You have to be really careful about this, because if you fire off questions one after another, your prospect could feel like you're interrogating them. And then the next thing you know, what does someone do? They withdraw. They pull away. They clam up. You can't afford to let that happen, so you have to be careful about it. Here's the formula. It starts off with number one at the top, ask a question, and then listen. Now, if you're in person, watch body language. I mean, if you think about it, if you ask a little simple question, meet somebody at a party, the guy's name is John, you say, "So John, what do you do?" He could say, "Oh, I'm an accountant," or he could say, "I'm an accountant." Well, obviously, listening between the lines is really, really important, because it's going to give you extra direction. Now, you make a comment about what they've said, you find common ground if you possibly can, you add something personal, and then you go on. He says, "I'm an accountant." And you say, "Well, gosh, you know, I've known bunches of accountants. It's a great profession, very solid. Obviously, you don't have any anxiety about losing your job. I'll tell you something. With the numbers, the kind of things that you guys have to deal with, I don't know if I'd have the temperament for it." Then your next question, "How long have you been doing it?" You see, it just use that sequence. He says 5 years, and then you say, "Gee, that's a long time. Is it something that you really like?" I mean, you can do this with different pacing, different sets of words that you put in there, but this is the general formula. That they have kids, and you do too, Talk about kids. Great way to create a common ground, a bond between the two of you. If they like sports and you do too, we'll talk sports. But don't stray too far from the path, because I'll tell you something, you can get off on a tangent and you may never get back. By the way, stay off of controversial things. I can tell you, I've worked with people, they work with me for years. They don't know for sure if I'm a Democrat or a Republican. I don't get into controversy. Don't want to upset the apple cart. Now, you think about this. Always want to make sure that you don't lose sight of the goal. I mean, that's really the most important thing here. The more they like and trust you, the more they're going to give you honest answers. And those honest answers are going to help you know exactly where to go next. Just exactly like you'd know if you could read their minds. That's why the questions are so important. Watch for hot buttons, too. I mean, things they're passionate about. If they hate their job, make a mental note. If they love boating, log that in your memory. You don't even have to acknowledge these things now when they first come up. It may not be appropriate. Might fit into the sequence, might not. But make sure you remember it, because these things are going to be important as you go through your presentation and to the end. I mean, you can refer to their hot buttons as you go through a presentation or when you're asking for the decisions later. I mean, to think about our accountant guy. Somebody who's a numbers guy. If he likes numbers when you're going through your presentation, recruiting them into your opportunity, you're going to dwell on the numbers, aren't you? It just makes sense, doesn't it? Talking to somebody that doesn't like numbers, let's say they like beauty and health, and you have beauty and health you're in selling, apply that to their hot button. Let's assume you have a lead that you're about to call. Now, first, assemble all the tools you'll need. Your script, always good to work off a script, even a bullet point script, but some type of thing to keep you on track. Your water, lead list, lead tracking sheet, CRM system, a mirror to make sure you keep a smile on your face, whatever you're going to need, and of course eliminate distractions and any background noise. You know, the dogs, the kids, the appliances, all that stuff. You want to be able to put your entire attention on the person you're talking to. As a matter of fact, if you're talking to somebody on the phone, you got the computer in the background, get up. Move away. Don't let the email suck you away where you're thinking about your email and not paying attention to the person you're trying to bring into your opportunity. Then do an attitude check. Remember, you are the one in control. You must maintain that. You have to project confidence. Even if you're thinking, oh, I just have to get this one to sign up with me, you can't feel that way on the phone. If you're needy, your prospect will likely sense it. And what are they going to do? They're going to withdraw. They're going to pull away. Your attitude should project total confidence with no expectations. Either way, they join, great. They don't, okay. On to the next call. Start by identifying yourself and then get permission to talk. Hi, it's Phil Stone. This is John. You got a minute? I mean, the reason you want to do that is because the easiest way to get you off the phone is to say, oh, it's a bad time right now. You have to call me back another time. Bang. Now you're chasing somebody. Don't let yourself get into that situation. And then after you get the permission, you go on, you tell them how you got their contact information. Hi, is this John Smith? Hi, John. My name's Phil Stone. I'm with blah, blah, blah. Have you got a minute? He says, yes. Great. You registered at our website, or maybe it's something like you contacted our company for information, or you filled out a form at the job fair. Were you looking for more information on the company? Some simple question, and then watch the formula. What you say next depends upon their answer realistically, and you want to draw them out following that formula, looking for reasons why they might not. Use that for the direction of your entire presentation or your entire discussion. Stay professional but natural. Take the posture and attitude that you want to establish compatibility. Are you both compatible? I mean, if you're recruiting to your network marketing company, any opportunity, and they join, you're hoping for a lifelong business partner, aren't you? You're introducing them to your company, and you're interviewing them at the same time. Now, if he says, gosh, Phil, you're asking me a whole heck of a lot of questions, a little bit upset, I'll typically say something like this. Sorry, I don't want you to think I'm interrogating you, but if this all works out and we decide to work together, we'll be partners working as a team for a long time. I just want to make sure that you and I are a good fit, so I apologize for asking so many questions. And then guess what I do next? Then I ask another question. It's got to be done that way. That's the way it works. Remember the formula. Ask a question, listen, make a comment, find common ground, add something personal, and then ask another question. Just keep going like that. The person who asks the questions controls the direction of the conversation. And obviously, if you're wanting to move them to a close where they join you, make a buying decision, you want to be in control of that process. If you're in control, you can get to that proper end. Now let's take a look at some hypotheticals here. I mean, these are hypothetical reasons why they might not, and things that could go either way. Don't like their job. Well, that's something really that would be a very positive thing to discover, because if they don't like their job, chances are they want to do something to change their circumstance. That's the reason why they might join you. Have no retirement money. That's a good one too. You know, if they haven't done it and they know they should and they wanted to, but they just haven't had a way to get it done, well, your opportunity may be their way, their method. They're interested in the product line. If you have health and beauty aids, that kind of thing, and they're really interested in that, bang, that could be a real positive for you. They have kids about to reach college age. Well, that's a reason why they might, because when kids go to college, I can tell you, after putting a bunch of kids through college, it is expensive. Surprisingly so. Even if you're prepared for it, it's going to be more than you thought, just like everything else, right? This type of an opportunity might give them the ability to do more for their kids. See the available training as a key to succeeding. Now, this is an interesting point, because I'll tell you, since I do so much online, and since people are very well aware of our internet presence, we've had people that have joined us simply because of that, because they realize if they work directly with us, we will share a lot of what we know. Big key, or main reason why they might. Let's say they're impressed with the company brand. Let's say it's something that they've heard about. And when they've heard about it, everything they've heard is positive. That kind of thing. Another one, reason why they might, they like the recognition of being a leader, and you show them how they could set themselves up as a leader with their own group, and you can help them be that. They like the picture of it. They feel themselves enjoying that picture. That's the reason why they might. Another one, they know lots of people. I can tell you, in the 30-plus years we've been doing this, when we find someone who says, gosh, you know, I know so many people in this community, they always think that out of those people, there are going to be a bunch of them that are going to feel exactly the same way about the opportunity that they do. So it makes them feel confident that they're going to succeed. Very important. Now, let's talk about the category of things that could go either way. Have network marketing experience. Let's say that you're talking to John and you say, tell me something, John, have you ever been involved in anything network marketing oriented? And he says, yes. Is that good or is it bad? It really depends upon what he says next. You have to draw him out, qualify that a little bit. Maybe he says, yes, it was miserable. We talked to our friends, nobody wanted to do it. We had a product that was too high price. Who knows what the situation was? Could be the exact opposite. He says, yes. And then you find out that they made a bunch of money. They really loved the experience, but for some reason, the company didn't continue, whatever it might have been, and they're really excited about finding something new. Could go either way, couldn't it? Let's say they know the company name. Well, that could be good, and it could be bad. Maybe they know the company name because everybody that they know has been trying to get them to join that company, so that would not be so good. Or let's say that they know the company name, they've heard great things about it, but they wanted to know more, and they've never had an opportunity to find out where to go to find that information. Could go either way, couldn't it? Have children. That could be either way, too. The children could be so consuming that they really don't feel that they have the time to do it. Or the children could be in a situation where they know if they don't do something to increase their income, their children aren't going to have the same level of opportunities they always wanted to give them. So the children could be a plus or a minus. You need to find out. If they're in a network company now, well, that could be a plus. It could be a minus. Most people are not capable of working more than one opportunity. Now, some people are. Matter of fact, they say about 60% of the people who are in network marketing actually work and promote more than one opportunity at a time. But you may be talking to somebody that's tickled to death with everything that's happening in their company. They don't feel the need to look into anything else. They just wanted to listen to you out of courtesy, or maybe just to find out about your company so they know about the competition. Now, it could be that they're in a company now and they're not doing near as well as they hope. They don't have upline support. They don't have people that do three-way calls, and they'd really like a new circumstance. That's why you have to qualify it. Could go either way if they're married. That could be that the spouse just would never let them do anything like this ever. Who knows? You need to find out. Let's say they work ridiculous hours. Now, that could be something that's great because obviously if they work ridiculous hours, they probably would want to change that. But let's say they don't feel they're in a position to make any changes. The hours make it such that they can't get out. They're stuck. You may not be able to go anywhere with it. They're unemployed. That could go either way too. Unemployed might mean that they have some money in the bank. They're doing fine. They're looking for opportunity. They have plenty of time. Or it could be that they're unemployed and they're scared to death and they can't even make any moves until they find themselves a job. That's why you have to qualify it. You can't just assume when they say, oh, so you say, well, so what are you doing, John? And he says, well, right now I'm unemployed. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You need to find out. You need to qualify it. Realistically, your skill at handling these calls is going to have a lot to do with which way it goes as well. And that really comes with practice. Now, let's take a look real quick at reasons why they might not. If they have no time, they might not. Again, it doesn't mean that they're not going to. If they have no time, maybe they'd be willing to do something to change it so they do have more time. If they have no money. Now, I'll tell you, most of the time people that say they have no money, they just have no money that they're going to give you to join your opportunity. They have the money, they're just not giving it to you. But keep in mind when you're going through things like this, you have objections and you have conditions. An objection is typically something that you can overcome. You have to qualify it and really find out what it is. You don't want to try to overcome an objection that's really not there. But if you have a condition, I have no money, and they have really no money, well, that's a condition. You can't overcome that no matter what. You're done. When you find a condition, sometimes you want to actually stop and qualify that condition to see if it really is going to be a deal breaker. And if it is, you cut your losses and stop. Simple as that. Now let's take a look at the next one. They do not like the products. I'll tell you, that's a real tough one. In the time that we've been involved in network marketing, we have a couple of times offered nutritionals in the form of pills. And I'll tell you something, there are people out there that just hate taking pills, period. Nothing you can do about it. Now, I always try to take the posture when I get that, when I realize that's my issue. You know, I've always said, hey, if you're a vegetarian, doesn't seem like a bad idea, does it, to be a vegetarian and own maybe a couple McDonald's? I mean, you know, you don't have to eat there. You don't have to take the pills. If something you can't take, but you know other people who can will benefit, may not be a deal breaker, but you got to qualify it. Fear of failure is another one. Most people, I mean, you hear the adage, what would you be willing to do if you knew you could not fail? Most people are scared of new things. Some people are paralyzed to the point where they don't do anything because they're so afraid of failing. This is one that they might not, but if you can make them feel confident that they aren't going to have to worry about that, you can overcome that. Let's say they've already killed their warm market list and they believe that talking to people that they know is the only way to do this. Well, that could be a deal breaker too, couldn't it? But you have to qualify it. You have to see if they'd be open to other ways of doing things. For example, if I were talking to somebody like that, I would say, what if I could show you a way to get leads daily on the internet? It's going to take you a little time to set it up. But if I could show you something like that, would that be something that would make you feel comfortable and confident? And if they say yes, well, I don't have to worry about that one anymore. Let's say they don't like sales. And I'll tell you, this one just floors me. If you talk to other people, you're selling. You're always selling your ideas, your concepts, your thoughts, your products, your services. You're selling all the time. People who say they don't like sales, I just don't get it. I really don't get it. The only way you can avoid selling is to never talk to anyone ever, never interact with other people, period. But there are people that say, I don't like sales, and that's the reason why they might not get involved in your opportunity. Qualify it. Find out what it means. Here's one that's a tough one, too. If they're just curious and they're not serious. Now, if you find somebody like that, obviously what you want to do, you want to get their attention and you want to create enough interest. You want the bell to go off, the light to go off in their head, and they realize that, wow, this is different than what I thought. And you take that curiosity and you turn that into desire. That's really the only way to deal with that one. And here's another one that just floors me too. People say that, oh, no, I've heard about those pyramids. It's flabbergasting to me because if you think about it, every corporation in America is set up like a pyramid. There's the top guy, and then the management below that, and then a larger group of management below that, and then the workers below that, and the bottom is always wider than the top. It's pinpoint at the top, wide at the bottom. Look at the United States military. It's just exactly like that. Look at our government. I mean, everything is set up like that. So I heard about pyramids. Really, what have you heard? You want to qualify it. Why in the world would they be saying something as crazy as that? This is just a beginning point here. I wanted to go through this so that you could see some of the things that you have to qualify and why it's so important to ask questions and use that little sequencing. The best way to become skilled at doing all of this is doing it a lot. Now, you can role play. I've been doing it for 30 years. I can do it in my sleep. You can use the same approach. I mean, really, when you're trying to talk to anyone, convince anyone about anything, use this qualifying approach where it's an indirect approach. I mean, really what you're wanting to do is take an indirect path to get much greater results. Simple as that. Rather than going head on, you go around it a little bit. Let's say, for example, that you want your friend to go on an errand with you, and it's going to be cross town. Instead of saying to John, hey, John, you do me a favor and go with me on an errand cross town? Well, that's a real direct way, isn't it? The more indirect approach would be to say, hey, John, how you doing? He says, great. You say, what's on your schedule today? He says, oh, not a whole heck of a lot. See, you're starting to open it up now. You say, how long has it been since you've been to that place across town? And he says, I haven't been there in a long time. Then you can follow that up by saying, well, I was hoping, I've got something I got to pick up over there, and I was hoping you might come along with me. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Sound like a plan? Nod your head as you're saying that, and chances are you got somebody going with you on an errand, right? It's because you took an indirect path. You want your kids to help you with a chore. You qualify them first. I mean, I'll tell you, I've made mistakes with this one for years. It seemed to me every time I would talk to Zach, my son Zach, great kid, I'd say, hey, Zach, can you help me out with this? Every time he had something he had to do. And sometimes it was even homework. I mean, amazing as it is, if I want to try to get him to do his homework back in those days, it was always hard to do. But if I had a chore that I wanted him to help me with, he had to do his homework. You qualify him first. Hey, Zach, what's your schedule looking like? You got a few minutes? He says, yes, great. Come on down with me. I need you to do this. And just walk down there and have him start. Instead of going direct, indirect. Say you want your spouse to cook a special dinner. You qualify them first. If I want Kim to cook meat and noodle dish, for example, instead of saying, hey, Kim, let's have meat and noodle dish, she might already have something planned. She might just say no. She might say, oh, we've had that, too many, or whatever. If I say to her something like, hey, Kim, do you got any ground meat in the freezer? And she says, yes. Well, that's one little positive. I've got that one. And you say, did you have anything planned tonight for dinner? Were you leaning in a particular way? She says, well, I was thinking about whatever. If she says, I was thinking about, that means that maybe she'll think about your alternative. So you still have the opening. You work towards it. So what about pasta? You have some pasta? She says, oh, yeah, you got that. I said, great. I was hoping, now that you got the ingredients, let me think about it. I've taken her mind off of the decision of making what I wanted to the ingredients. And as she's thought through the ingredients and has them all, she'd have much more likelihood and confidence in saying yes when I ask her the question about making me meat and noodle dish. See what I'm talking about? You can use this all of the time. Look for reasons why they might not, and then use what you learn to help you close the sale, to help you know the direction to take your presentation. Hope you've enjoyed this. This is part of our Phil Stone training series. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.